Not still that way. What's up, everyone? It is the Tesla Beat 135, and man, I was just talking to Joe. It's like we were going through some of these handles, and it's just been nonstop news. And so, but yeah, never a dull week, and obviously some kind of some drawdowns today with some spooks. But all that to say, we are going to keep you updated. Brian, Hans, and Joe, how are you guys doing?
Doing good, busy. I'm just busy, man. I'm always busy. I'm flying out to China again tomorrow on this adventure. Hopefully, I'll get my driver's license. A very exciting day in any young man's life, and also mine. So this will be fun.
You got to get your driver's license twice now.
Yeah, yeah.
That is pretty cool. Hans, how are you doing, man?
Doing great. Wild times. It is a lot of fun playing with the new tools that are at people's disposal these days.
Yeah. Joe, you're turning 6 today too, right?
Correct. The club is turning 6. We are doing it. It's pretty wild times, man, to think when we started the club and where we are today, and just the growth in the community is pretty wild to see everything that's happening.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. Well, with that said, quick shout out to Insta360. They have these amazing cameras. Joe, can you move to the other side? Yeah. It'll follow you. Check out
Yeah, I don't think I have it on there.
Oh yeah, no worries. But check out their cameras. We'll post the link as well. See, exactly. If Joe wants to be all over the place, he can be. The 360 will help him. All right, so let's jump into it. All right, so Tesla stock is at 405 again. It was kind of there was some movement day over day, but still holding flat to around roughly negative 7%. But everything is down today. All right. Well, this was probably an unexpected, didn't know that they were gonna drop an internal one, but there were some pretty big announcements, which we'll get into. But I don't know about you guys, if you guys got time to watch it, but I think the biggest ones were, I think it's FSD's coming to the Netherlands on March 20th. And then he just gave a lot of, great insights into kind of like Tesla's future, like robots being better than surgeons and doctors at some point and things like that. But obviously I have some of the slides behind this. We'll get into it. But was there anything, that you guys wanted to kind of mention that stuck out?
The big one to me was the Berlin story's not done. Of course, with the fear, uncertainty, and doubt mongers on the social media, you're going to see a lot of people looking at any hint. Oh, sales are down in Germany. Well, that's the end of it. Shut it down, tear it down, replant a forest. Guys, that's not how it works. Of course, he's very proud of the work they're doing there. They have some fantastic engineers. They've developed some things that are really great there, like in terms of the water reuse, very novel systems in use. This is just another chapter in that particular book. It's moving forward. And of course, if FSD is approved in the Netherlands on March 20th, then it's going to get wider approval across Europe. And FSD is the gateway drug to robotaxi, which is the ultimate goal. When you look at all these missteps in Europe, they ignore FSD, they ignore robotaxi, and they certainly aren't looking at Megapack or Optimus or Solar. So, it was nice to see this video. Yes, it was an internally produced video. Elon had, of course, say over what kinds of questions would be asked. It seemed to me pretty clear that he didn't pick the questions because some of them came as a bit of a surprise to him. But someone at Tesla certainly, there was certainly a team that came up with what are the best questions to highlight, what our real core strengths are here in Berlin. And I think it was a fantastic video. It's only like 20, 30 minutes. It's on X. Watch it.
100%. Hans, were you gonna say something? Oh, no, never mind.
I just loved the entry level drug gateway analogy. It was really funny.
Yeah, facts. No, it was a really good interview, and yeah, you could tell that he didn't know a lot of the questions were going to be asked, but he still delivered what I think was the message he really wanted to get across, and that was that we're still invested in Germany, and we want to move forward, but we can't grow unless you let us grow. And I think like he's really trying to signal to the people who make those decisions that hey, I mean, Elon's very good at those kind of slide threats. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this could be bigger, but you guys won't let it happen, type of thing. And I think it was really good, especially for the employees who work there. You know what I mean? A couple of them got a good questions in, and it seemed like the things that we kind of know for certain, they kind of didn't know, and it was they had some kind of weird questions, but I think like overall they get the sense that their jobs are secure and that they want to grow and that he's behind them 100%. And I think that's what the message was.
Mhm. I think
Yeah.
just from a high level, real quick, the criticism I think around Giga Berlin has to do with the fact that a lot of people are looking for volume expansion as their North Star to set their opinion. How is Tesla doing? And so if you want volume expansion of regular, SX3Y Cybertruck right now, and you're looking at that, and then you go look at the Berlin data, you can, construct a real fun story for yourself about what is happening at Tesla. And, the thing you have to remember is that Elon is focused on bottlenecks, and there's nothing about what's happening at Berlin that is in any way related to what is the bottleneck for Tesla achieving its goals. And so if it's not a bottleneck location, then the signal to noise ratio of anything that you can draw from Giga Berlin's volume production is pretty low. But, it is, even with that said, I'm happy that he went and answered those questions and had that conversation there, because it is something that is on people's mind. And so I appreciate Elon devoting some time to it to deal with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, so my thought is, and this is my thought on what I've seen, as I've been following Tesla now for, 8 plus years. Not as long as some of the people on here, but my thought, and also too, knowing, some of the European politics as well. Like, I think that the biggest issue with Europe, especially with volume expansion, isn't going to be, well, obviously we know Tesla's pulling back on the S and X. We'll see if they release other vehicles. Hopefully, maybe, we'll see what that looks like. But as we
Well,
know, that they're
the
obviously
Cybertruck is on tour right now there.
it's been on tour before. Is it on tour again?
Yeah.
Sounds like maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
they announced that March 6th or 3rd or something like that. It's gonna be
Yeah,
out there.
we'll see, and who knows? Maybe there's a couple of European countries that they can get into. But what I was gonna say is overall is I feel like the biggest issue in Europe is not going to be like Tesla being ready to expand or building the production line for the robots, building a production line for cybercabs maybe in Berlin. It's going to be regulation, right? Like it's going to be what makes sense. They're not going to invest in these production lines that you know may not be able to actually put robots in in some of these countries. So I think that's really what they're working on, and they may test it out and get some of these things ready. But I know that the regulation is strangulation over there, and we're seeing it. So hopefully a lot of doors can be opened up, especially for some of these technologies and things that are going to really benefit humanity, right? All right. So, looks like, so I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen this many orders for the Cybertruck. Like, I feel like, the last time I saw this many posts from people saying like, "Hey, I just got one," was like when this thing like launched, right? And I've been seeing people that like, to be honest, that have no need for this car buying it as well. Like, shout out to Whole Mars, and
Nothing to see here.
yeah, exactly. Even Dirty Tesla getting back in the scheme. with Cybertrucks. But this, like, and we'll see what they do on March 1st. But all I'll say is this is awesome. I think that coming down to $60,000 has really opened the floodgates. You're seeing back orders all the way till, or deliveries all the way till April 2027 now, right? And who knows, again, they'll have to kind of see like what's the stable demand versus like this huge pop right now. But one, I think it's just great because the Cybertruck is just such a great vehicle. Like, everyone should experience it. It's an amazing ride. You get a luxury SUV vibe, but with, like, four-wheel steering and steer-by-wire, and the car drives itself. So with truck utility. So again, I could go on all day, but yeah, just seeing this makes me proud as an owner, just because I want other people to experience it. And so seeing it go till April 2027. And like I said, at some point, Tesla did the math to put it at this price point. I personally would love to see them keep it, so that more of these can be on the road, because it's just such a great vehicle. And I think it seems like they could do it profitably. That's why they dropped it. But obviously, with demand, I know they're going to increase it most likely. But yeah, that's just my thought. I don't know about you guys. What have you guys been seeing on X as far as posts, but also too, what are your guys' thoughts on these delivery dates?
Well, we're definitely in a bubble. We have to recognize that our perception isn't the universal perception. But with that said, we know these people who are placing their orders. We've seen a lot of personalities on X and YouTube say, well, I maxed out my referrals in the last week. People are ordering these, and we know a lot of the people, whether they're people who've been following us for years or we've met personally. There's a lot of interest, and we'll see what kind of staying power it has. Yeah, today and tomorrow. That's the end of it. So if you want the $60,000 truck, get in. And I love that the media has no idea what they're covering. There's it's not 60, it's 62. Right. That's a delivery fee. All cars have delivery fees, whether they'll tell you that up front or not. It's there. This is just, they've got so many they can't sell them. They're stacked up in lots. Guys, it's a whole new trim. These aren't stacked up anywhere. And as far as those dates go, if you're worried, well, 14 months out is too long, I don't think it'll be 14 months. I think once they see what they've got, normalize it, they can produce accordingly and get you, they want to move through that line quickly as much as anyone. And maybe it settles at 65. Maybe that's a reasonable price at which people will buy it. And it is absolutely a premium vehicle. A lot of people take issue with calling Tesla luxury. Why? It's not luxury. You can't call it luxury, right? If you look at someone like the Autoline guys, they will tell you what luxury means. It's just a segment. The BMW M series is considered luxury because it has performance. If it's got the performance, if it's got the tech, if it's got premium features, that's the definition. But the Cybertruck lives up to it. It's a smooth ride. It is comfortable. It is fast. It is loaded to the gills with tech. This is a spaceship. I've never driven a truck as easy to drive as a Cybertruck, and I'm not sure I've ever driven a car that was easier to drive than a Cybertruck. So it's worth checking out. Time is limited. Supplies are limited. Call now.
Yeah.
I personally don't think this truck is worth buying for anyone at any stage.
Uh-huh.
Not a
No,
single
man.
person.
No, yeah, nobody needs this truck. No, dude, this is pretty incredible. And for people who don't know trucks, like with the suspension, without the air suspension and the springs and everything, this is like regular truck stuff. And then you tack on all the tech that the Tesla typically has. And a little behind the scenes, I have a friend that recently got into an accident with a vehicle, and I'm not really gonna say the company's name, but if you spelled out the letters and sounded it out, it would sound like Ford. But what happened was that he was in this hit and run and couldn't get any of the data, like, you know what I mean, because they don't have what the simple things that we take for granted in a Tesla, like, you know what I mean, like being able to look at the footage and all that. It doesn't have it. And this is like a newer Mach E. So and it's pretty wild to think that in 2026 you could have a situation like that. So there's a lot of the safety features and benefits to having a Tesla. Not everybody needs a Tesla, no, but you should definitely look at the benefits. So outweighing, you know what I mean, like a lot of things. And at this price point, it just seems like ridiculous not to get one. If you were on a fence, I mean, I've had like I put this on Brian's post. There's been like over 10 people in the past few days that have called me and been like, guess what I did? Like crazy.
Right. And, a lot of people are complaining still. Well, 60,000 is still way too much for a new car. Well, it isn't. The average truck is 66,000. The average car is like 53. And if you're looking at a Model Y premium, a Model Y performance versus this Cybertruck, they're really close in price, you guys. You can get a whole lot more car for not that much more money. And remember, used cars are still a thing. You can still buy. You can get great deals on secondhand cars, 2, 3 years old, even 1 year old. You can get a great deal on a used car. And all used cars start their life as a new car. If people are paying this money, let them. In 2, 3 years, you get it for half price. You're coming out ahead. Now, I don't know if the Cybertruck is going to be half price in a couple of years. Seems unlikely with the resales we've seen. A lot of people say, well, I lost half my purchase price. You bought a founder's edition. You paid the early access premium.
Exactly.
As soon as they cut the price on it, that determined the new resale value. When the IRA credit was on there, the $7,500 buyer incentive, that lowered how much you could sell a used one for. And unlike the other manufacturers, since the expiration of the $7,500 credit, used Teslas have gone up in price in the last few months. So a bit unusual.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a
sorry,
couple
Hans.
of points I actually want to jump in here with. So, we've had big question marks around what is the demand for Cybertruck, or there have been big question marks floating around out there about what is the demand for Cybertruck going to be. And what we've said consistently has always been that it's going to depend on what the price is. And I think what we're seeing here is that if you can lower that price, I mean, this is a very large, discount on the entry level price for a dual motor version of this truck. And all of a sudden, bam, you just see, the orders go basically off the charts. So to see the backlog stacking up the way it is, you said it earlier, John, that it'd be nice for it to stay at that, $60,000 or $62,000 price with the delivery fee price. But there's no way that that's a sustainable price for Tesla if they continue to see orders at this level. I do expect that to taper off a little bit. But I think what we're seeing is just that demand for, this truck is extremely, extremely strong if they can bring the price down, especially with inflation, being what it is. And I think the reason that they're able to achieve this price is because, we're working down a Wright's Law curve of cost declines, that you've got to make so many of them before you really figure out all the ways that you can make the next one cheaper. And we finally kind of hit some of those points. And so it took us a little while to get there, but now we're seeing the demand inflect upwards, and we're seeing obviously the orders go vertical. And that means they're going to be making more faster, which will hopefully allow us to continue to see that next decline of that $60,000 price, or whatever, maybe not the price, but the cost of goods sold. We should be able to significantly decrease the cost of goods sold a year from now on the Cybertruck, to where if they have the capacity, that they can actually lower the price some more. And the more that they can lower that price, the more of the truck market they're going to devour, because Ford's not lowering the prices of the manufacturing of their trucks. They're rising. GM, same deal. And any of the people making big trucks, the Toyota Tundra in 2029, shocker, news alert here, it's going to be more expensive than the one today. And so, this is an opportunity to exploit for Tesla that, we haven't seen that dynamic at play in the Cybertruck yet that we have seen in the Model Y and the Model 3. And we are heading into that season for this product line.
Yeah, it's really really interesting. I think you said it right, because I think people like Matthew Dr shared last week, a Ford Raptor was 47,000 back in 2019, and now it's getting close to what, 80, something like that, something crazy. So, and I think you dropped some good stats too, Brian, where you were saying that the average selling price is 66,000. So I think, like I said, it's when you think of electric vehicles and the insane benefits that you get with them, and then and that's just from a car to car perspective, and then you add in full self driving. It's for some of these people that are looking for good work trucks, for good cars that are going to have like, or a good truck with low costs, and really a great experience. It's, I think there's going to be more people jumping on. So we'll see how this tapers, especially on Sunday when we see the new price. Maybe one guess. What do you guys think the price is going to be?
For the 60,000, I think it's going to jump at least five.
I can see
At
69.
that.
least 65. Yeah.
69. No.
40.
No, I think it'll stay under. I think it'll stay under 69. I think 65. I'm with Brian.
Well, we saw no sales of the $70,000 version
Right.
that was single motor, but this is all-wheel drive. That's more value. It didn't have the rolling tonneau. You need that for a contractor truck to keep all of your valuables secure. It didn't have the power share in the back. Contractors need that. This suspension is better than what you're getting from a comparable $60,000 internal combustion truck. So the suspension isn't really the issue. Of course, you'd like it to have air suspension, but especially if you're going to be using it as a work truck, I think you'd prefer the well understood durability of a traditional non-inflating suspension system. I think even at 70, this is not unreasonable. So I'm changing my vote. I'm with it's 69,420.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
s-
Jumping
the
10 grand.
dynamics that Brian just laid out are, just important to dig in on for just a second. The problem with the $70,000 rear wheel drive truck was that it was not better than alternatives at its price point. And you're not going to be able to sell well when your offering is less, like the only reason people are buying that is because they can't afford a dual motor and they want something that looks like a Cybertruck. How big is that market? Not very big. When you offer a truck that does have the dual motor and it has all the things that it has, and at $70,000, it's a better value than an equivalent Ford F-150, an equivalent Chevy, an equivalent Toyota. Now all of a sudden it is a step change thing where you go from a tiny niche market to the mass market, and the truck market is big. And so as long as they can keep that price point, or the value that they're providing at that price point above all their competitors, they're going to be able to maintain that extremely high level of demand.
Yeah, and that's what you've seen obviously with cars like the 3 and the Y that have been, some of the best selling cars, right? I mean, especially the Y. And like at least in Europe, for example, part of the reason why you'll see a lot of these companies, at least based on regulation, have closed the gap that Tesla had almost 10 years ago. Tesla was one of the first ones that had, the lane change or some of the stuff that in Europe, right? As far as like autopilot and all that stuff. And they were the leader for the longest time. And then, but regulation pretty much stopped that continual curve of innovation. And now you can go and buy a BMW, a Mercedes, any of the cars out there, and they're all able to do the same thing. But that's because in Europe they've stopped how much more you can progress. So hopefully, like I said, we'll see what happens in Netherlands. The way it works typically in the EU, if things go really well in the Netherlands, a lot of these other countries will just follow suit because it's a union and it ends up being kind of uniform in a lot of that stuff. So it's exciting, but and with that, right? That was some of the announcements that we saw this week. Tesla's first FSD supervised roads have officially begun in Abu Dhabi or in the UAE. And then the Netherlands, hopefully March 20th. So so again, new markets, and again, I think they're in Korea, they're in Australia, they're in China. So they're just, this is the type of data that no other company will have. You know what I mean? I think even Waymo is in. They've started some testing in the UK, but the amount of countries that Tesla is in is just wild. All right, Joe, this one's to you, man.
Nichta. Let's talk about it. So this is pretty cool. On March 10th from 9 a.m. to 4:30. You actually have to sign up for this. If you don't, they're not going to air it anywhere. But they're doing an automated vehicle public safety meeting, and so I signed up. It looks like a webinar. Probably is going to be streamed that way, but it's not going to be streamed anywhere publicly. So I think the only way to get that information is to sign up from the Nishta website. Just go to Nishta and type in events, and you'll see it. But this is to me, it's signaling something greater, and I think like everybody's looking forward to an overall, like universal plan for the country as a whole. I mean, Elon's talked about this for a millennia, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Very interesting. All right, so already hit this one. All right, so the Model YL is safe, and you're gonna see it again out there, Brian. But I'm hoping they bring it to the U.S. We'll see. I think it makes sense with the end of the Model X, but I would assume that they would, if they're gonna announce it, they're gonna wait until they don't want to disrupt any of the Model X sales while they continue to do some production. So I would assume that it happens in H2 of this year. But if they're going to bring it at all, but the Model YL, they released the footage, and the car features new curtain airbags that provide much coverage of the rear window and belt line to protect second row occupants. There is now an additional airbag in the third row as well. So, safety is just part of the conversation. They look at the standard and they go above and beyond. So, really cool to see this.
I'd say the third row in the Model Y that I have was absolutely an afterthought. Now, there could have been some planning in advance to make sure they had room for it, but it doesn't feel like it. At the Portland Auto Show, I saw a grown man climb into the back seat, the second row of a Mercedes convertible sports car, and it was hilarious because he was basically sitting like this with his hands on the seat in front of him and his legs. I don't know where they went. Perhaps they were tucked inside him. It was hilarious, but this is with the YL, they've got actual crash tests, noting the safety of the third row. The third row has heated seats. Finally, it has its own ventilation. Finally, it's serious. It's what they meant to build. And I'm confident they will build it in the US because the US market for a vehicle that size is huge. The thirst is real, and there's a lot of surplus capacity in Austin. Let's tap into it. I'm not asking you to design a new car. Just build the one you already engineered. Come on, baby, you can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah, I think the YL, especially, well, the way that six seaters, if you've ever been in a van, or really the Model X, probably the Model X would probably be the closest one, right? That middle row, the middle seat that they get rid of, really allows for a lot of extra space, especially for tall people. When you look at as you were mentioning, the third row in the Model X, if you have a 7-seater, a Model Y, if you have a 7-seater, it kind of was an afterthought. Like, really, you can only have a kid probably until they're 10, 11 in the back, and even then it's still getting to be a little tight. But doing the YL will really allow for some of the people that maybe would have gone and bought an R1S will actually consider once the X is gone, we'll consider the YL, and it's kind of in a different price bracket as well.
I just have to say I'm shocked that this car is safe. That is like so unlike Tesla. I can't believe that they would ever be able to do something like this. And Brian's right. You know, it's a lot less work to go ahead and make the YL in the United States than re-engineering a new vehicle. And so I will concede that Tesla should not make the YXL that I have repeatedly asked them for. Instead, this is America. We need the Y double XL.
That's probably the right call.
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I mean, I see a potential for that cyber SUV. Like,
I'd love to see that.
I
I'd love
think
to see
they're
it. I
just
hope they do, but
Yeah.
well. This was a
What?
thing. Like, I went to an event at Santana Row, and the designer and engineers for the Model Y Performance were there, and they were talking about how Tesla is so grown up now that they can afford to do different projects on different continents without any, before it was like, hey, this is the platform, everybody's got to use the same platform. And so they're no longer bound by that ideology, so they can do whatever they want whenever they want. And I think that they can make a specific thing for like the YL for China and the cyber freaking SUV for here. I don't think it's what out of the realm of possibility.
we
Let's-
have seen approvals for YL in Australia and Germany. This is already going to be a global product. The only question is the US part of the globe?
Let's pull on the cyber SUV thread for just a second. I think a lot of people assume that if Tesla builds such a thing, that it would look very much like the Cybertruck, obviously with the stainless steel exoskeleton that didn't end up really being much of an exoskeleton kind of thing. And I think that, and maybe I'm misrepresenting what most people think, but the cyber cab is a cyber vehicle, but you didn't need this stainless steel exterior, and the cyber SUV wouldn't need a stainless steel exterior either. If they did such a thing, it would definitely have the composite exterior panels, and I think it would not be insurmountably difficult to design a cyber SUV that looked completely different than the Cybertruck, but still used the same battery pack, very similar front and rear castings. And then they would have to do, a whole new rest of the body in white design in order to support, having that interior space in the back. But it's not a crazy lift. There's a lot of foundational work that they can carry over.
Yeah, and I don't think they have to stainless steel it. I mean, I don't think there's any reason for them to make another stainless steel truck, even if they call it the cyber SUV. It doesn't need to be all bulletproof and everything like that.
I think you're both absolutely right. The stainless steel is expensive. It's heavy. It's objectionable to some. Go with the composite. Tom Jew said paint is expensive. Composite paneling would remove that need. And yeah, you could use a lot of the same things. The front casting doesn't need to change. The rear casting, you probably want to change it. And you don't need the same kind of durability requirements from an SUV as a truck, because you're not going to put 5,000 pounds of concrete in the back of your SUV. They're generally not rated for that, even if they're built on truck platforms, because why would you? So yeah, I think it's very possible. I do hope we see something bigger for the US market. There are people who need more than 5 seats. I'm hopeful.
And Brian, remind me, isn't the rear casting for the Cybertruck 2 individual castings that they join together with the adhesive? So like,
It's
can
a
they
top and
reuse
bottom.
can they reuse the bottom, you think?
So on the bottom piece, it's unclear if there would be room for your legs back there in the third row if they didn't change that back casting, because what you could do is the footwell could be where the air compressor currently is and get rid of air suspension. But if you're going to keep the air suspension, now you've got to put that somewhere else. Maybe you have a smaller canister because you don't need 16 inches of variability. So there's possibilities, but the current shape of it, it's not as easy as, oh, just put a canopy on it and throw in a third row. There's a lot more to it. But
Oh, that
Always
was
a
a good
lot more
question,
to it.
Hans. That was a great question.
All right, Joe, this one's to you, man.
So, in other news, Tesla punched DMV in the face for California. No, I'm just kidding. No, this was pretty. This was inevitable. You know what I mean?
Counter punched
Yeah,
DMV
the
in the face.
counterpunch. So Tesla sues California DMV to reverse ruling that the company engaged in false advertising. Tesla's take on this is the attorneys allege that the DMV never proved consumers in the state have been confused about whether its cars were safe to drive without a human at the wheel or not. So, and that was, I mean, the freaking Tesla lawyers, man. Like that. I mean, talk about a loophole. That is impressive. I mean, but that's why they're the freaking lawyers. That's a great roundabout right there.
Yeah, that
Uppercut.
I mean, obviously, Tesla's lawyers, one, they're based out of California, like the majority. Obviously, Tesla has lawyers everywhere. But I will say that, Tesla before they when California decided to do this, they turned over every stone and looked at and there's probably more in the actual lawsuit that there are also additional points. But hopefully, like I said, we'll see, because this could come down to it's some of those things where, if you look at just even basic, defamation cases, unless, you call people certain names, and if they're not true, there could be, what's the word, repercussions for the things that you say. So things like this, where it's like, hey, you guys falsely advertise. Well, it's like, what are we falsely advertising? So I don't know. It's interesting, but Tesla's attorneys are ninjas for sure. And, a lot of times, they have some of the best legal staff that I've seen, and you see it in these cases that they win. You know what I mean? So it's not just, but either way, California's going to find out for sure. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to this, but this could take several, years to unravel. But we'll be watching it closely, and hopefully this will just really set the bar solid from a legal standpoint here in California on some of the stuff that they continue to throw at Tesla. All right, looks like same. This was just something that Tesla put out. Tesla North America, the diner. Tesla diner was constructed using recycled stainless steel from Cybertruck production, which is pretty cool. So a lot of this stuff came from Austin, and you can see, hopefully, you can see the resemblance there. But just cool. Tesla's always just taking, things that may be going to waste, and putting it towards other things, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's funny because that was seemed like already news. Like I already knew that, but a lot of people didn't. It was like really surprising to me that people didn't know this. Franz has been saying that since they launched the thing, and it was just like, you didn't know? It's
I
crazy.
think
I mean, we're
people
in
knew it
this
was the
every day,
same.
so yeah.
Yeah, I think people knew it was the same steel. I don't think they knew it was scraps, that it was leftovers. But yeah,
There you go. All right,
Maybe
Joe.
that reclaim chic movement. You gotta lean in.
All right, Joe. Growth happens.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. So Joe Tetmeyer, not only did he get a tour of the Cybercab line, but he's also been taking these great videos like he's always done. But the expansion, it seems to be hinting at the North Campus is going to be for the Optimus line, and they are not messing around. The Sandy Monroe used to say that Tesla moved at the speed of thought, and you just see the pivot from the car company to what they are today, like happening so fast. And I just can't think of any other company that could do what Tesla does in the speed in which they do it. And I can only imagine the stress of the employees. I mean, this is insane pivots that they do.
So, Brian, what all's going to be located in this North Campus hypothetically? Like, what do you think the most likely candidates are?
Well, it's got to be Optimus. We know that it's not going to be a Megapack factory. We know that it's not going to be a Cybercab or Cybertruck line. What's left? So we know that Optimus pilot production, and by pilot I mean mass scale pilot, phase 1 production is going to be in Fremont. It's going to be going in where the S and X lines currently are, and just adjacent to it, behind a large security fence and floor to ceiling black plastic enclosure that I saw and the tour guide refused to acknowledge. But they plan to build a million capacity, 100,000 capacity, million capacity. I think the Texas one is set for 1 million capacity. And that's a good spot for it. You've got the 4680s next door, being built next door. You've got the cathode plant for the 4680 right there on campus. This is the place to be. So this is a fantastic deal for the city of Austin when they made that small tax concession to bring in all these jobs, all this construction, all this spending. Man, did they do it right, because this is paying dividends like crazy. And the real only thing they did was say, we're not going to increase the taxes on the property. If Tesla hadn't showed up, they would be getting the same amount of taxes either way. But now they've also got all these jobs, all these other benefits, and soon an army of robots.
Well,
that type of behind the scenes information is really awesome. Go ahead.
Well, it's great. It's great because the highway's right there. Instead of delivering them, they can just walk out and hitchhike. I think that'd be hilarious and terrifying.
Well, they can cyber hitchhike, hop in a cab and go. What do you think?
Anything on the network picks them up. We joke, but that's not the worst idea I've heard.
Oh no, I think that will definitely be part of if there is such a thing as Optimus as a service, where you can have partial Optimus share program, then Cybercabs will be doing some transportation on that front. But the question I wanted to ask you, Brian, was to go back to the other possible, kind of fringe things that may or may not be there, beyond what we've worked on in the past in the Optimus. Elon's also talking about huge capacity for solar cell manufacturing, and we're moving into needing to in-house more and more chip fabrication. Between those two things, like, what do you think the likelihood of seeing those types of things at that North Campus are?
Okay. Chip fabrication is very difficult, very expensive. There's a company that recently just completed a factory. It cost $165 billion. If Tesla's going to get into chip fabrication, we have to have some conversations about financing, because I can get you into this, baby, but let me run some numbers. It's going to be expensive. Solar fabrication, you get into for a couple $100 million, perhaps $1 billion or $2 billion at most. Solar fabrication is well established, well understood, and that's something they could be doing. What they would likely do in the case of either of those is bring in a partner like they did with Panasonic at Giga Nevada. Bring in someone who's got the expertise, who's willing to risk their own money, and what you get out of it is guaranteed sales. So could they be working with, for example, a solar company to put up a solar campus there? Absolutely. Because when it comes to solar panels, there's a 100% import tariff on those made in China, which is nearly all cells made globally. You don't have to beat the price of Chinese solar in the US. You need to beat the price times 2. So if you could build solar, even in the first year, you say, look, it's the first year, we've got a lot of depreciation to cover. We've got to figure out how to get this thing running. There's going to be ramp issues. If they cost 185% of what it costs to make them in China, they're still 5-10% cheaper here. They're going to win the market that way. And unlike other companies, when Tesla makes as many solar panels as they can also use them. We're here to sell them, but whatever we don't sell, we're going to keep and put up ourselves somewhere, not just at our locations, but Tesla is in the grid energy business. They could just go and add solar farms. Land, especially once you get out of the city, gets quite affordable. and quite available. And especially if you're doing something like putting in solar panels, it's going to just generate cash. So between the two, I'd say solar is a lot more likely. I think for chips, there's a lot more questions that have to be answered before they can move forward. But I still think this is definitely for optimists. All of those could be wrong.
Well, and the only last thing I think I would add is likely is I believe we'll probably see Cortex 3 there. You know, we're already making really good progress on Cortex 2. It's not going to be too long before it's up and running with chips. And at the speed that Elon is building data centers, you need to be starting on number 3 right as you're really about to get done with Cortex 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. And then a very much smaller likelihood, but not impossible, that there might be some sort of additional refining capacity that is added. Tesla definitely needs to be adding some refining capacity somewhere. The question is where. Would they want to put it there? Not sure that that's the right location for it, but one more possible project to be on the lookout for.
Those are all quite possible. On Cortex, one thing I wanted to point out is, there's this massive global chip shortage, especially for these AI chips. How is it that Tesla can still get all the chips they need? How can XAI get all the chips they need? And it appears to be that the answer is what there is a glut of reservations for chips, not orders. And so when the numbers come up, they go, "You ready to take delivery?" They go, "Ooh, not yet, not yet." And Tesla and XAI say, "Yeah, of course, ship them, we're ready."
You are 100% right, Brian, but there is an additional layer to that. Because Elon is so fast to put these things into production, he is a great, show customer that demonstrates the capability of new chips. And so Jensen loves to move Elon to the front of the line on new production, because whatever Elon does with those chips then is a great sales pitch for Jensen on continuing to grow that big fat backlog of orders.
Interesting. And that makes sense. You want, it's like letting the celebrities buy the first of your car so that everyone sees them. Whereas a lot of the chips that are going to be bought will be bought for government purposes where we'll never be able to see what they do. And I'm sure it's all for good and not nefarious purposes worldwide.
Well, this is a proven method by Jensen, right? He had that interview recently where he talked about how he couldn't sell anything to anybody until Elon wanted some of his chips in tech for a little startup that he had made called OpenAI back in the day. And so I think he realizes that if Elon can prove it out, then everybody else can, piggyback off of it. And they don't all have Elons, but they don't need to. They just need to buy the shovels that he's selling. So whether they know how to use it or dig or not, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too, as far as the timeline. I mean, the fact that they're even they're already moving, breaking ground, and and obviously what are they doing here in Fremont, right? They have to the production line for the S and X will be going through the end of June. But that they have, various parts or aspects of the production line pre-built just for testing. But Fremont will be a great one because I think they can build up to 1 million here. This will be a great testing ground with all of the key engineers to say, let's build something for 1 million. And then really by the time this goes up, because it's Texas, it's going to go up quickly. To be able to scale something that can do, 100 million robots, I think was the number, 10 million, whatever it was. I think it was 100 million. They'll be able to get all of the learnings from Fremont and roll that into what they'll be doing here on this. I guess it's the North Campus, but yeah, it's going to be just crazy. All right, what's more dense? Looks like the Netherlands ranks first by a wide margin, with just the first 5 EVs per public charger. This is highly coordinated infrastructure strategy where chargers are often installed based on direct user requests. The result is efficient, demand-driven network that minimizes congestion and maximizes charger utilization. Who would have thought? Just ask people where you want chargers, and people ask and you shall receive. But one of shout out to the Netherlands for just continuing to set the pace, and then even Norway, right? I mean, how they've led and just really pushing for electric vehicles there.
Well, I've always been a proponent of this. There's no rule or anything that says that you can't have as many superchargers in a city that you have as gas stations. For some reason, people think 2 or 3 should be the maximum unless you're in LA. But yeah, they could be on every corner. There's no reason for them not to be. So the Netherlands realizes that, and the cool thing about that stat is they're not even all like superchargers. You know what I mean? Like they're literally like level twos, most of them, because people realize that they don't need much. They're parking and they charge and then they drive away, and it is what it is. And they have a way more dense, not only in charging infrastructure, but in sales as well. Everybody knows that the Netherlands leads in everything. So
Well,
just
the thing with the
proving it.
Netherlands is there's not always parking at home. Uh, it's there's a lot of dense urban environments where if, I've known people in Europe who own a home and cannot possibly add charging at home because they don't have a garage. They're in a building. So yeah, you need public charging, and it doesn't have to be fast. If it's at your work or your home, it can do the job. What I'd like to see is at movie theaters, give me level twos. I don't need a 20-minute charge. What am I going to do? Leave in the middle of the previews before, just so I can not have 2 hours of idle fee? No, I want level 2 at the movie theater, level 1 at the airport. Don't give me a bunch of level 2s at the airport. They're going to be clogged up the whole time, and they are. Give me hundreds of level 1s so I can slowly not lose charge and almost certainly get my whole charge back before I'm back from whatever adventure I'm on. We need more smarter charging, not just more charging. But I mean, more charging is good too.
Just a little bit. All right, Joe, what is the upbeat?
We have come to the segment, folks, that we are called the Upbeat. Now, this is a quick answer segment, news segment that we have for everybody to give their 2 cents as quickly as they can.
All right. Well, Hans, we're going to go to you first. Boring 3 times simultaneously.
Hey, Gary the snail is picking up steam. We're going to have lots and lots of little Gary moles running around all over the place, digging tunnels, making transportation in dense urban environments a little bit more convenient. This is a great, upgrade to public transportation. I can't wait to see a lot more of this. And it's great to see them, make progress on, it's a really hard, engineering challenge that they're solving. And so the fact that they're scaling up really is demonstrative of the fact that they have made really good progress on the engineering side. And then the other thing that really, really slows us down is just permitting. And you wouldn't think that the permitting would really be that big of a deal, since most of what you're building doesn't really touch any existing infrastructure. But because it does, interface, you got to have a place where it comes up and a place where you can go down into it. It does tend to end up getting caught up in a lot of red tape. And so they're working through those challenges as well. I think the more really powerful use cases we see for this demonstrated, the easier, hopefully, it will be to streamline the red tape mess.
I just wanted to add on the red tape thing. One thing Elon's companies love to do is when you get a permit, you go right now. So when we saw that the permits had been approved in Nashville, Boring Company said, yeah, we're already 2.5 feet in. We didn't wait. As soon as they said go, we went. And if you look at Giga Berlin, when they got the permit to clear the trees, because the activists were out there saying, no, you got to stop. You can't cut down this pulp farm, which is all it was. It wasn't a real forest. It was a farm. It was always destined for being harvested. They said, okay, your appeals have been heard. Permit granted. They swooped in with every logging company they could find. They had contractors in from Ukraine, from the Czech Republic, getting those trees down. And you notice it took like 3 days to clear hundreds of acres because we're not going to mess around. What are you going to tomorrow? They might suspend the permit. Let's just go.
Yeah. The other thing is too
Just the
is
tip, I
that
promise.
the other thing too is that all of this drilling is not going to cost taxpayers any dollars, right? They're doing it at a fraction of the cost to build it. But with the boring company specifically, they are pushing the limits of like of really innovation in that, right? Like when you think of the sky, it's pretty regulated now, right? There's certain fly zones, drones got to be permitted, but and people, when they buy a house, they own a certain amount of space above them now. That's typically, unless you buy like a condo. Um, with tunnels, they haven't defined how much ground below that you own, and so that's why a lot of this becomes, a lot of it's very new in regulation. But yeah, as you said, they're going to move with quick haste, especially as they got that stuff permitted.
Probably have to stop at the magma.
All right, Brian, GM says we ain't leaving. Uber unveils Uber
Oh,
autonomous
this is the wrong
solutions.
title for this. Is the Uber? I forgot to check.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good, because
I'm reading the teleprompter. No,
right. I'm Ron Burgundy. So Uber came up with this great thing. They said, we spent years trying to make our own autonomous system. We gave up. We sold it for scrap. We can see that the future is autonomous. Waymo's only using us in a couple of cities. Tesla's not using us at all. Oh no, we're in trouble. Hey guys, here's what we've got. Classifieds. It's basically their Craigslist for rides. If you have autonomous vehicles, put them on Uber. Yay. That's it. They're offering the marketplace and nothing else, because that's what they've got is nothing. Uber has some very serious flaws that I've been pointing out for years in terms of how they manage their network. And it's coming to light more and more how they take advantage of both their customers and their drivers, how they are the only ones making money out of this whole equation. What does Uber bring? They don't have the cars. They don't have the employees. We have the app users. My friend, you can replace app users. Waymo has shown it. Tesla has shown it. You're in trouble. This is Uber grasping at straws, and I can't blame them when straws are all you have, you grasp.
I love their framing here too. We're going to accelerate. Like, no, you're not. You are grasping at straws just to try not to get left behind. You ain't accelerating crap.
Our desperation is accelerating.
All right, Joe. I'm not going to read the teleprompter again because it might be wrong.
This one's actually right.
Lamborghini. Nobody wants EVs.
Yeah, Lamborghini has abandoned its EV plans. I mean, this is a surprise, right? The CEO, the CEO said that the pullback of EVs just showed them that there really no need for them to go down that path right now. I think his exact words were, "Why would we waste money doing that when people aren't buying EVs?"
When people say, right, when people say people don't want EVs, what I hear them say is people don't want to buy the EVs that we sell at the price we're selling them. And I would agree with Lamborghini. If I want to spend $500,000 on an EV from Dolce and Gabbana, I'll do it. But I just don't see the appeal.
And I think it's kind of a bet that the Roadster 2 is never coming out. We don't believe Elon. The delays have piled up. We've still got time.
Well, they're not even faster than half of the things that Rimac has put into play with not only the Rimac Navara, but I mean, they got that tech into the new Audi and into the freaking what is that? The Italian company that did everything for everybody
Bugatti?
back in the day. No. They have a
Lotus.
Well, yeah, Lotus has
It's an option.
some of their tech, but it was the I can't remember. It's like Gambolini or something like that. I can't remember. Whatever. But they were designers for like Ferrari and stuff back in the day. But they also have an EV.
Giorgetto Gigaro. No, Gigaro. That's what you're thinking. It's the designer.
No.
All right,
But yeah,
guys. Well,
pretty awesome.
with that said, Lambo, no more EVs. Yeah, so I just wanted to make a quick announcement. Hans, who has been who's blessed us with his presence for a bunch of episodes. Unfortunately, we'll have to pull back a little bit. But yeah, Hans, I'll give you the floor if you want to mention anything. But thank you again so much for your time and for providing us with all of your knowledge.
Yeah, it has really been an honor, a privilege, a pleasure to spend this time with you guys and with the audience. I love participating in these. But yeah, there's some things that I have been wanting to build for a long time. And over the last few months, it's been more increasingly possible to build some of the things that I wanted to build that were really hard before. And so, yeah, now I'm moving into the phase of building things instead of talking about things as much, and really excited about that. Especially kind of hit an inflection point over the last month. And so that is going to, yeah, just crowd out the schedule. And even up to this point, I have been a lot less plugged into the pulse of what is going on with Elon and Tesla and even XAI and those things, as this has consumed more and more of my energy. So that is what I'm focused on moving forward. Like I said, I have really enjoyed this. It's been awesome, and I will miss you guys. And at the same time, I will try to make some occasional time to drop in and rejoin and keep the conversation going a little bit.
I'm not crying.
Mhm.
You're crying. No, okay. So it was the Pininfarina Batista, along with the Aston Martin Valkyrie and the Koenigsegg Regera.
That was worth the wait.
Thank you, Brian. It was.
But
Shoot.
yeah, Hans, thanks again for everything, man. We'll definitely hit you up if see if you're available on some of these. But we're looking forward to it. Yeah, and we'll be watching from the sidelines. Let us know as things potentially start launching. We'll help promote, get the word out. And we're here to support you, man. Looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Elon's going to buy Hans's company and we're never going to see him again.
Exactly.
An NDA just to shut him up.
Exactly.
$1 million.
I feel like you could get more than $1 million.
A little bit more.
just a little bit. All right. Well, everyone have a great week, and we will catch you guys all in the next week. And I think maybe it's one more episode with Hans as a regular co-host. But outside of that, we will catch you guys all next Friday, and have a great weekend.